We begin, hundreds of years after previous events, in the kingdom of Ding Dong Dell, where the cat-like Grimalkin and the mouse-like Mousekin races reside, with a history of hatred and discrimination toward each other. Dell is ruled by the House of Tildrum, with its current heir, Evan Pettywhisker Tildrum, a Grimalkin child, preparing himself to assume the throne after his father's untimely death. Aside from Dell, the world is divided into three other major realms. Goldpaw, focused on gambling and tourism, ruled by the Dogfolk, Hydropolis, a secluded marine nation of merfolk and humans, and Broadleaf, an industrious, highly advanced nation formed by a corporation that grew large enough to establish its own independence. Each country's ruler has a bond with a powerful being known as a kingmaker. This bond is known as a king's bond, and it not only acts as a proof of authority, but also to protect the country and its population from harm. The bond between a ruler and its kingmaker can only be broken when the ruler dies, or it is forcefully stolen, which is only possible when the support of their subjects falters. Roland Crane, an elderly president from an unnamed nation of Earth, witnesses a missile exploding over a city. In the aftermath, he vanishes and reappears in front of Evan and Dell, with his youth suddenly restored, just as Mousinger, the advisor to Evan's late father, stages a coup. As they escape, they learn that Mousinger poisoned the previous king and intends to have Evan killed to assume control of the kingdom. Assisted by Evan's governess, Aranella, who sacrifices herself for their safety, Evan and Roland escape safely from Dell, with Evan promising to her that he will establish a new kingdom in which everyone can be happy and free. Following this, he is periodically approached in his dreams by a mysterious boy around his age who becomes his confidant. Evan and Roland travel to Cloudcoil Canyon to reach the King's Cradle, where they hope to seek out a kingmaker for themselves. There, they're joined by a group of sky pirates, their boss Batu, and his daughter Tani, a girl of Evan's age, who help them reach the shrine, inside of which Evan undergoes a trial, and upon his success, forms a bond with Lofty, his new kingmaker. After settling in an unclaimed area of land, Roland instructs Evan to make contact with a neighboring kingdom, Goldpaw, where they learn that Goldpaw's ruler, Master Pugnacious, is making use of rigged gambling to exploit the population. Once Pugnacious is exposed by the group, his king's bond is taken by a mysterious man called Dalaran. The group later learns that Dalaran was once a king from a long-lost kingdom that disappeared in a single day. Despite his errors, Pugnacious retains the support of his people, as he was just being manipulated by Dalaran to do his bidding. Back in their settlement, the group, along with the pirates and immigrants from other nations, established the nation of Evermore. To plan their next step, Evan and the others seek out knowledge at Goldpaw's library, where they learn of Ferdinand, an ancient king who once united the kingdoms of the whole world through a declaration of interdependence, which inspires Evan to do the same. After convincing Pugnacious to sign the declaration, Evan and the others set out for Hydropolis, where they fail to prevent Dalaran from stealing Queen Nerea's king's bond, but are still able to convince her to sign the declaration. Nerea's loyal advisor and true love, Leander, agrees to join the group to stop Dalaran's schemes. A similar situation occurs in Broadleaf, where Dalaran steals the king's bond from President Zip Vector, who also agrees to sign the declaration afterwards, before the group is joined by Bracken Meadows, a young woman who is the top engineer and one of the country's founders. After returning to Evermore, Roland leaves temporarily and heads to Dell, where he feigns allegiance with Mousinger in order to retrieve the Mark of Kings, an important artifact belonging to the royal family. After Roland returns to the group, they hold an audience with Mousinger in order to exchange the Mark of Kings for his cooperation, but he attacks them instead. Dalaran takes advantage of the conflict to steal Mousinger's king's bond and reveals that he corrupted Mousinger's advisor, Vermine, instructing him to turn Mousinger against Evan's father. Instead of rewarding Vermine for his services, Dalaran steals his soul and flees. Realizing his errors, Mousinger reforms, agrees to treat all citizens in Dell equally, and signs the declaration. With 4 king's bonds in his possession, Dalaran begins the ritual to summon his own kingsmaker, the Horned One, stealing the souls of people around the world in the process. In response, the group returns to Goldpaw's library, where they find clues about the Mornstar, a legendary sword capable of destroying the Horned One. After the Mornstar is recreated and entrusted to Evan, the armies of the 5 nations launch an attack on the Horned One to allow the group to reach and confront Dalaran. Facing the group himself, Dalaran reveals that Roland and he are soulbound doppelgangers, Roland being his counterpart in Earth's dimension, and should one of them die, the other will perish as well. He also reveals that his true intention is not only to revive his lost kingdom, but to restore his former kingsmaker and lover, Alessandra, who was turned into the Horned One because she defied the gods by loving him. Dalaran then asks Roland, whose nation on Earth was destroyed by war, to join his side, but he refuses, and the group defeats Dalaran in battle. Soon after, the Horned One manifests itself and is slain by the group. Alisander's spirit appears before Dalaran and reveals that she tried to relinquish her powers to live beside him, but by doing so, these powers converted her into the Horned One, and she then departs to the afterlife. Following this, Evan convinces Dalaran to start anew and rebuild his kingdom. Back in Evermore, Evan and the kings of the other major nations celebrate their victory with their subjects, and Roland is sent back home to Earth, having one last encounter with Evan before departing. In another encounter with the mysterious boy, Evan discovers that he's actually been talking with Ferdinand in his dreams, who is not a king from the past, but his son and successor from the future, providing advice to the group through Goldpaw's librarian, Bodley, who is a seer. Many years later, Ferdinand assumes his father's throne and accomplishes Evan's dream of uniting all countries in the world. Roland, back to his original age, pushes forward in his mission to unite all countries of Earth as well, inspired by his journey with Evan.